Okay, so in this video we're going to be looking at verbs in the third person, the oder sie format, going from the third person present to the third person imperfect. As you can see, so that's just where I place all of my cards depending on color and for a quick reference. So the imperfect or das Präteritum is important in German for your understanding of your literary comprehension. The verbs they're not used quite often for habitual speech in German, but rather to discuss something that happened over a long period of time ago. So again, so let's begin here. So you have the first one, wird, which is from werfen, warf. So again, so you're going to be using these videos either for learning these verbs, or as to solidify your knowledge, or as a kind of a quiz to see if you can get them before I turn over the card. So will, wollte. So vergisst, sie vergisst, sie vergaß. So for example, you have to recognize these verbs for your Leseverständnis, for your leaving certificate paper. Predominantly, but you can use them also in speech if talking about something you did a long period of time ago. So trinkt, trank. So for example, I would say trank cola if we're talking about somebody who drank cola many years ago. Last week I'd say hat cola getrunken. So just to separate the time differences. So trägt, to wear, changes to trug. Trägt. Sorry, trägt is not to wear. Trug. And then streitet, again I say streiten. Stritt. Sie stritt, I can argue. So verliert, verlor. Okay? So, and this one here is trifft, and it changed to traft. So again, so I'm going to move those away. So we're just going to go through each one individually. I know it can be quite boring to go through each one, but again, that's the aim of this video. Mag changes to mochte. Muss changes to musste. Late changes to li. Kann, konnte. Okay, so last, ließ, ruft. Again, the reason why we're doing this is for understanding of Leseverständnis verbs for your reading comprehension for your leaving certificate. Ruft, rief. Okay, we've nennt, nannte. Okay, we have gewinnt, gewann. Kommt, kam. Okay. Halt, hielt. Lit, so that's already in the second one, sorry, these are the other way. So leidet equals to lit. This one is kennt, kannte. So we've nimmt, nahm, again to take. And this one here is liest, to read, las, read. So lügt, log, to lie. So hangt, hing, heißt, hieß, hat, hätte, hilft, half, scheint, schien, genießt, to enjoy, genoss, gelingt, to succeed, gelang. So again, so they're the first part. So again, I just use color just to kind of break it off to make it easier for students to look at. Again, as I say, I don't really like white. Gate, ging. That would be an important one to know. So for your understanding of your Leseverständnis. Kommt an is a separable verb. So again, as I say, it will be the same in the Präteritum. Kam an. Okay, so going to the next section, we have lädt ein, lud ein, gibt, gab, fliegt, flog, friert, froh, wie frisst, fraß, findet, fand, fangt oder fängt, fing, fährt, fuhr, F-U-H-R, fällt, fiel, and bringt, brachte. Like the video discussing the first person presence that are perfect, you'll notice that you'd only, for the perfect tense, you'd only use 20 verbs regularly over and over again. Likewise with the Präteritum, from doing Lese Verständnis, you'll know what verbs come up and up again and again and again. So this is an exercise where you learn up by heart. This is an exercise whereby you have to be able to recognize the verb when you see it. So darf, durfte, begin, begann, denkt, dachte, empfiehlt, empfahl, erschrickt, erschrak, bekommt, bekam. So beißt, so you may or may not know those, so you can try and guess them before I turn them over. Bis, bietet, bot. Okay, so I see the way, for example, if you see bot in the Lese Verständnis, you may not know what that is. So again, you just need to learn it. You have to recognize it. Bittet, bat, bachte or buch, and that would go to, what are the two cards here? Bachte or buch, and that comes from bachte or bacht. Okay, the next one is gefällt. Das gefällt mir. Gefiel. Okay. So again, we're on to the last row of verbs again, as I say. As I said before, you need to be able to recognize them for your Lese Verständnis comprehension, and also for understanding of German literary text or historic text or any kind of like narrative. So again, as I say, it's more recognition than memorization activity. So bleibt, blieb. Fängt an, again a separable verb, goes to fing an, brennt, goes to brannte, bricht, goes to brach, ist, goes to ass, so it changes, you see, schreibt, schrieb, schneidet, schnitt, schließt, und schoss. So see the way even for your own writing, you can use some of these verbs if you want to set up a narrative as to talk about, for example, when you started learning German as opposed to what you're currently learning in German, where you had holidays 5 years ago as opposed to where you're doing what you did last week, for example. So it sets the scene for the audience. Ist, war, schmilzt, schmolz, steht, stand, still, stall, schreit, oh, was sagt da? Schrie, sieht, you know it already, you saw it, sah. One fell on the floor. It's schlägt, schlug, steigt, stieg, singt, sank, singt, and sang. Okay, so we're nearly finished. We're just going through here. Start at the top. Sprich, sprach, no, spricht. That should be sprach. Sorry. Spricht comes from sprechen, S-P-R-E-C-H-E-N. That should be sprach, S-P-R-A-C-H. So I'm going to actually leave that there and correct that, because, again, as you're doing as a student, as I do as an educator, again, you always make sure that everything is perfect, or as near to perfect as you can be. Sitzt, saß. Spricht, sprach. Okay, So spricht, sprach, that's okay. So sprang. Okay, so this should be sprangen. So we have spricht, sprach. We have the Präteritum sprang, and the present tense verb of that is spring. So that should be spring, which is the jump. Stirbt, starb, comes up often. Schläft, schlief. Soll, sollte. Okay? Schwimmt, schwamm. Wäscht, to wash. Wusch. Sieht, oh, I should have made these bigger. Sog. Weiß, wusste. Wird, wurde. Tut, tat. Now tut comes from the verb tun, which is comparable to machen. Machen is preferable. I don't know why it's preferable, but it is. So tut, tat. And just about this one. You have the Präteritum sprang. Sprang in the present tense is springen, not spricht, because we've seen a duplicate card in there. So sprang is springen.